Is Red Dead Redemption 2 worth it in 2022? The latest game by Rockstar released almost 4 years ago now, and I wanted to revisit the game since that time and see how it's aged, how it plays now, and whether it's still worth buying in 2022 for newcomers. I've actually already made a review on the game about a year ago now. However, I believe I can make a review a lot better and more convincing than that, as that was one of my earliest reviews. Of course, there'll be no mention or display of spoilers, and with that out of the way, I believe we should get into whether or not you should purchase this game 4 years after its initial release. Let's talk about the narrative of Red Dead Redemption 2. In my opinion, the story of this game is absolutely spectacular. From the characters, the overarching themes and plot, the beautiful score, and the development of all of these aspects throughout the game's runtime has created a narrative of absolute bliss. A story so full of life and realism without ever overstaying its welcome. Sure, Red Dead Redemption 2's main story is a long one, sitting in at about 60 hours for the majority of players. But when you get into how Rockstar methodically plans each chapter, how the characters change and develop due to the events of the story, how the themes correlate with how the characters behave, you'll understand that the game is truly one of its kind in its narrative. The main character, Arthur Morgan, has so much to offer. His development throughout the narrative is incredibly impressive, and it's obvious while playing through the game that the writers at Rockstar had planned every aspect of the narrative to be as cohesive and well thought out as it could have been. Each character, including the protagonist himself, have a level of realism and humanity unlike any other Rockstar game. Arthur himself truly feels like the most real and grounded character that Rockstar has ever made, and that's surely a feat looking at their extensive log of video games over the last 2 decades, where they're able to masterfully weave and create a narrative with characters that truly have substance. You'll be shocked, surprised, and enthralled into the 60-hour-long narrative of Red Dead Redemption 2 as you'll fly through its many twists and the peculiar situations that the game puts the characters through. At the heart of much of this is how the game is able to develop an entire cast of characters through hidden dialogue, camp interactions, and worldly events to truly create a player connection towards these various characters. The gang that you'll be riding with is one made up of many different personalities, all of which interlock together to create a family component, of which I haven't seen in many other video games. This pact between these people is what drives the narrative and events of Red Dead Redemption 2 forward. If you've been looking for a heavy narrative with enticing characters and a story unlike any other in the gaming space, this game is a must for you, and I honestly believe that this is the greatest aspect of the game by a long shot. Red Dead Redemption 2's gameplay is to many the major point of criticism, and I can surely see why, even though I believe it to be utterly fantastic. The gunplay here and the other systems of the gameplay aren't exactly innovative or revolutionary in any way, and I assure you that if you've played a shooter game with a third-person perspective, Red Dead 2's experience won't leave you with anything drastically different. What the game does wield is an open world full of life and activities while the gameplay revolves around it, and the realism in every aspect of the gameplay without becoming tedious is how the gameplay here manages to stay fantastic. For the combat or gunplay of the game, you've got various different weapons which you can mix up and utilize in order to hunt, take down foes, and mess around with at any stage of the game. The guns all vary in their power, accuracy, range, and how they are to be utilized, which surely adds a level of diversity to the different combat scenarios you'll see yourself getting involved in throughout the game. The gunplay is further reinvented by the awesome Deadeye ability, which is Red Dead's version of bullet time, which essentially slows down time, which in this case allows you to select certain hit points on enemies and take them down with speed and absolute accuracy. The Deadeye ability has to be one of the most fun parts of the gameplay, as in the case of you being targeted by several enemies, enabling this ability and aiming for the enemies' heads without being able to miss due to the ability's point and shoot feature, you'll get through waves and waves of enemies. This is the main factor of the game's combat, as it depends on how you utilize this ability and the various weapons at your disposal in order to get out of any sticky situations. As for the hunting, it's also incredibly fun, with hundreds of different animals to take down, with each of them having unique animations for skinning, which you'll be able to utilize to make yourself a certain coat or simply just sell it. It's a very fun yet intense side activity in the game that I believe all players should indulge in to really feel the liveliness of the world that you'll be inhabiting during the game. The world itself is spectacular. It's hard to say much that hasn't already been said by countless other reviews and videos, but the absolute liveliness and detail in this world is unlike any other game I've ever played. played. Being able to interact with each individual NPC and person walking around with unique dialogue, animations, and interactions with all of them is at the heart of truly living within the world of Red Dead Redemption 2. It's a masterclass in open world design, and no game even till this day has been able to top the game in the sheer level of detail that is here. The dynamic weather system creates layers of utter realism, adding to the ultimate immersion and beauty of the world, in which the world rains, snows, has a windy day, thunder striking, or the sun and moon shining across the large expanse of Western America. How the world interacts with you as the protagonist, your actions with the honor system which determines your level of honor with others in the world, and what can also affect the story adds to how the world will interact with you. The towns in themselves are so unique, each having their own shopkeepers, people, and events always occurring, with all of these being different to each other. The interactions within holding something that you haven't experienced before. With all of this, the game manages to always stay fresh and new, despite living in the world for hundreds of hours. That's without mentioning how the expansive and limitless nature of old Western America is one of the world's best factors, utilizing the historical conventions associated with the time period to create a world that accurately reflects the notions of history. The world has so many details and events that make the world ultimately feel alive. From the many little details that are spread across the world, such as missions with strangers, helping others in the open world, to the wildlife and natural settings of the world that makes this world truly like no other. Each of these environments offers its own activities and things to do, making every part of the vast world worth exploring. Go to a gunsmith and get new weapons for future in-game endeavors. Rob a clerk, take the money, then run away from the waves of police officers who come to collect your head. Then there's doctors that sell various herbs that heal you and your horse. Or go to the post office and pay high prices for your crimes. All of this truly adds to the liveliness of the world, that this world is truly one that's lived in with and without the presence of the protagonist. This paired with the stunning visuals that has now become the standard for video game blockbusters, and the realistic and beautifully crafted sound design also helps contribute to why the game's world feels so vibrant and alive. Every dialogue, every action, every decision you make during gameplay towards strangers in the game, towards random NPCs, everything has its own consequences and outcomes that will make you think twice about everything. Connecting with all of these characters and the world itself is just awesome, and something only possible in a video game via Red Dead Redemption 2. All of these amazing factors are what make this one of the best open worlds ever created in video games. The gameplay and open world of Red Dead Redemption 2 can create an illusion of total realism in a fictional setting, and the world actually feels real. The game revolutionizes both open world design and gameplay, making for one of the most immersive and beautiful video game experiences ever made. So yes, you should absolutely buy Red Dead Redemption 2 even in 2022, even 4 years after its groundbreaking release. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I hope I was able to convince you to buy this enticing video game masterpiece. Let me know what you think about Red Dead Redemption 2 if you've already played it down in the comments below, and let me know whether you bought the game because of this video. Anyway, that's all from me for today's video. See you all in the next one. Peace.